Okay, so that was the last reset, 1728. And I want to read this to y'all real quick, just so y'all can see what happened. It says, having lost the war against the Anunnaki, the custodians returned to find their most prized human colony in a state of great technological advancement and rebellion. It says, fearing they would lose control completely, the custodians again joined the Anunnaki in a treaty to plan a new reset. And it says the reset was carried out through a great mud flood generated by the Anunnaki pyramids combined with the controlled explosions to destroy the great cores in the center of Tartarus. You were right. You said that they came. Rashad Jamal was talking about how they came from nowhere.
Yeah, I heard him say
it's because they did come from nowhere. They came from outside the ice wall. The Anunnaki have to intermingle with Tiamat to create peace so that they can actually rule the whole galaxy. So when they did that, they created 13 tribes, which is one of them is the African American, and a bunch of other different tribes. You got different types of black looking people. You got Klingon looking people, Draconian Klingons, Theon looking black people, you know, because their species is mixing together to create the perfect species, which is the African American. And that's why the African American is the true rulers of the whole entire galaxy, because we have the genetics of every creature in the world. So this is all just a big old giant genetic war. So the Anunnaki and the custodians are basically some goddamn haters, right? Because they don't want us to take the rulership of the galaxy. They want to keep resetting us back and keep resetting us because they don't want us to claim dominion. Because we are the remaining children of Tiamat. And this is actually we're actually the rulers of this whole realm. So this is all just basically, and also we have the ability to transcend into the fifth dimension. That's something the Anunnaki and the Greys can't do. That's why they're trying to figure out what's the deal about us. Because we can transcend to the fifth dimension and they can't. Because our mother, which is where we all come from, Tiamat, is from the fifth dimension. They're not from the fifth dimension. You see what I'm saying? They fell in frequency to their realm. So the Lyrans fell in frequency, and the Draconians fell in frequency when they used to be at the fifth dimension. So they're trying to find their way back to the higher realms. They're trying to find their way back into heaven. But they can't because they genetically manipulated themselves so much that they had to basically bring it back in with Tiamat. And that's what that war was about. That whole war about Marduk basically coming over there to conquer Tiamat so that they could still have dominion over the galaxy.
Are you familiar of the war in Normanburg?
Yeah, I heard about that before. Yeah,
that was basically that was something to do with Tartaria. Now they alleged that it was 1561, but we know what happened before that. But what they said, Mama T, is they seen spaceships and all that blasting shit up. It's people that actually drew pictures of what they seen. They seen ships, UFO type ships, spraying lasers down and all that. Now we seen what happened in Hawaii when they had the ability of literally, I believe they use direct energy weapons where they can literally, and then you heard about people hang blue on their roof. And blue actually repels laser technology because there's something special about blue, the color blue. And this is why in Hoodoo, they use Hank blue. They paint their windowsills with Hank blue and things of that nature. And why the evil eye is blue to repel what they call blue hags. Just like they use direct energy weapons to actually eradicate Tartaria and cause the mud flood, I believe that here's the thing. Because we saying they ain't changed the timeline since Tartaria, but for all we know, they probably have a new way to reset us.
They also have a timeline that is finite. Like,
because these Anunnaki had technological weapons. For example, Marduk had a weapon called the Hulu, which can manipulate wind. Inky had a trident where he can actually, like you see Aquaman with the trident. This is Inky. He had the ability of manipulating water with technological devices like the trident. All right.
Ah, here it is. This is a weather stick. You can control the elements with it. Whoa!
Where did you get this?
I got it from my friends, the Placeans. It's quite flexible if you know how to use it.
And when Arushka Girl basically went to war with Inanna, the story goes that Arushka Girl basically killed Inanna. But Inky had the ability of rejuvenating her, bringing her back to a quantum rejuvenation chamber. But after seeing what Arushka Girl and the Dark Brotherhood did, he realized that information will be put in nefarious hands. So the story goes that he basically flooded Atlantis with his trident, basically to stop the nefarious factions from ascertaining that information from Atlantean science.
I just wanted to clarify that with people, when we talk about extraterrestrial, they're always thinking boogeymen, little green Martians, and shit like that. There's humanoids, there's human beings all over the galaxies. There's human type beings. All right. So I just wanted to just make that clear for people like in the back.
Now I was talking also about Osiris being green earlier, right? And I wanted to just say something about that. Now, the reason why we was greens and blues, like different colors, is because at ancient times, we didn't have iron. Our skin had magnesium in it before it was replaced with iron. And the oxygen in our metallics is rusted out. This is why certain people are born with Mongolian birthmarks and still born with green birthmarks and blue, because in ancient times, we really were blues and bright greens. Okay, we were different luminous colors. All right, we have more magnesium in our skin.
That's interesting. Now, is that something to do with the oxygen too? Because was this dome always here, or did something what's up in here?
Well, according to ancient texts, the dome was placed over us by the Anunnaki, by the Anunnaki, by different beings that pretty much, it's almost like a prison planet in a sense, to some degree. Damn. It's a hydrogen dome. Some say you got to go 33 times the speed of sound in order to bypass the firmament.
Some say you got to go 33 times the speed of sound in order to bypass the firmament.
We actually activated our Merkaba and actually came over to this planet, but we came from over from Mars, but we inhabited that planet also. This is why Marvin the Martian is depicted in blackface and dressed like a Moor.
Facts. Yeah, he is, isn't he?
Yeah, he got the Moor colors on. If you look at Marvin the Martian,
isn't he? Yes, he is.
Marvin the Martian. This is why they put him. They say he's from Mars. They show us in Hollywood all the time.
Okay. This is a great question. Where the hell these people come from? Okay, because if we were here, we had this ancient civilization. How did they get here? There's a theory that said they didn't get here until 1492. And all the stories and histories that they're teaching us, they're fabricated, right? About their stories and their history, that they actually landed here in 1492. Not just landed in America, but landed on everywhere earthly realm.
And you know what?
I have that.
I believe that, fam. In conclusion, with all of this stuff that we've been going over, I believe Atlantis, Tartaria was really all over the whole damn globe and reset everything and said it was just in certain parts, just to try to distort our visual perception of how advanced we really was as an entirety.
Those people were schooled by another people of that area, which I call Moors. Those people came up and actually, pushed the Moors out, but then they came here. So what people don't understand is a lot of teachings that come from that culture goes into their culture. They perfected it and brought it over here, and they lay it on thick over here. See, that's what people don't understand.
When we go to these different areas, even just through the Caribbean, through Mexico, it's Spanish, it's French, right? Or it's Italian, right? So are they the originators of this language? And how did they get overthrown by some people that they've educated?
So basically, the Caucasian people come from the Caucasus Mountains of Asia Minor. That's where the word Caucasus Asian comes from, Caucasian. Okay, so this is where the origins of the Neanderthals actually from. If you actually go to the mountains of Ukraine and the Caucasus Mountains, you'll see that there's caves still there for the Neanderthals. Those caves are in the walls of the mountains because they was placed there, like almost as if somebody built it for them to live there. Like the Flintstones. The Flintstones, they start off in the mountains. You see what I'm saying? And with the dragons and all this and that there. But just to cover about I want to talk about two things. The 1492 thing, you're right. You said that it came, Rashad Jamal was talking about how they came from nowhere.
Yeah, I heard him say
it's because they did come from nowhere. They came from outside the ice wall.
I'm sorry, what?
Ancestral Republic. That's what they talk about in the book. How majority of the people had passed away on the earth, so they needed to create more people like them, clones. So they created the clones on the Ancestral Republic and brought all the asses over to everywhere. They started scattering them around to basically reset the whole earth. They added 1,000 years to the timeline. You know what I'm talking about, wordplay, right? It's not 1492 that Cortez came to America. It's 492. 492. Check this out. Since you took 1,000 years off the timeline, you got to condense all the history into one and watch how that stuff fits right into place. So basically, so check this out. Rome fell when? 500 AD. The same time the Dark Ages happened in England, 500 AD. And Cortez invaded America when? 8 years before the fall of Rome? You see what I'm saying? You see how all the stuff was happening at the same time? Rome was here, England, America was here. It was all happening at the same time. You see what I'm saying? But what they did was they added 1,000 years to separate the history. See, King Arthur was in 450 AD. That's what King Arthur was. He was a black man. King Arthur was 450 AD. So you mean to tell me 40 years later, Cortez will come invade America? See, you got to take 1,000 years.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not 1805, it's I-805. So it's not, they added 1,000 years to history to confuse us so we can separate the history. But if you take 1,000 years off, you got to condense all the wars and everything into like almost 1,000 years. When them pilgrims came here, we already had cars and airplanes and boats. Everything was already here. They didn't build anything new. And so the hydrogen is what we use for fuel instead of gas. Everything was water-based. So they ain't built nothing. Of course, we're indigenous. We're indigenous to America. We're indigenous to the earth. You know what I'm saying? The whole planet. We're indigenous. Right. The clones, or what they're calling, these Caucasians, were created by the custodians. The custodians created them to basically watch us. And they have the DNA of the custodians. And that's why they don't have the melanin of Tiamat. Because they're not from Tiamat. They clone them so that they could actually reset the whole population again, because when we get too high and too strong and too aware, they bring us back down. So they had 7 resets total.
Obviously, I hope and assume this will be the final version. No, I know it will be. All the kinks have been worked out. This is the one.
The trick is to whisk enough air into the eggs that they lighten to a pale yellow. But if you whisk too much, you'll actually beat the air out of them again, which will make your omelette flat.
Is this enough chives?
Yes, Hippo, thank you. But next time, cut them at a slight angle. It exposes more of the interior, which extracts more flavour. And as a bonus, it's more aesthetically pleasing.
I'll be damned. It is more aesthetically pleasing.
What's his sudden interest in omelets?
Oh, the city is going to be destroyed in a few seconds and I don't care anymore.
What?
I said eat up. I spent a week trying to find you and now I'm going to die in lava. Again.
What do you mean again? You're not running.
It doesn't matter. I've been cursed by Kronos. I die every day.
Oh, Tyrannus. Is this why he cursed you? He's done this before, these loops in time. Wait a minute. Am I in it? He put me in a time loop without my permission. We need to stop this. It's too late, this loop.
We have to do all this again?
How do you think I feel? I'm in a time loop.
We should all be safe out here to do this important research.
How is watching an entire city die research?
Aside from Dad, everything happens the same way every day. If I can memorize what happened, we can make a plan to save everyone. You had some thoughts?
Hopefully I'll have them again in the next loop!
Right, this is the path of the lava. This is the safe zone outside the city walls. We clear as many people out as we can before the eruption and then go from there. Go from there. Okay, well, we weren't able to save everyone, but this was the best try yet. We're going to be able to do this, people.
Maybe don't smile so much when these people watch their homes and friends disappear into fire.
To be clear, I wasn't smiling at the tragedy. I was smiling at the future lack of tragedy. I'm just going to go. It's time.
How long have you been doing this?
I lost track after 100 years. 100 years. you missed.
You have to keep reincarnating onto, even in this one universe, never mind all the other realities, you have to keep incarnating onto this billionth of a pinhead to learn the lessons to not have to do it.
Yeah, you learn to work with your mom. Good for you. So you want to keep doing that? Learn how to work with people and then work with them? Or is it going to turn out that's the kind of thing you only do when you think it's going to pay off for you somehow? And once you realize it isn't, you get a little bored and give up? Now that you can really afford to ask that question, now that you have the time.
You come into this world to learn lessons. But what happens? You suffer from emotional and mental traumas and challenges. It pulls you into depression, into anxiety.
Thought so. Wake up! Now that's what I'm talking about.
Huh?
You learned your lesson. Great.
What lesson? That everything is pointless. Nothing matters.
Why, if you're learning lessons and building on previous lessons to reach enlightenment, why do you forget the lessons you're supposed to have already learned when you come here and you start with a blank sheet of paper again? It makes no sense. It's frankly ridiculous from my perspective.
Yes. I haven't heard you crying and sucking your thumb for a while. Or questioning me.
Are you a child? Are you kidding me?
Little man, I would kill you for talking to me like that. Like that.
What?
You get to live the volcano day one more time. No take-backs. Move forward with what you've learned. What are you going to do, little man?
Wait, you didn't stop the volcano?
I didn't start the volcano. I just saw it and thought, this could be funny.
I'm hitting the reset button.
Hey, volcano erupted.
Did it. Everyone is out.
Still, never hurts to do one final sweep before the bar burns down.
Dad, no!
All right, that's enough. What the hell were you thinking?
I wasn't. Honestly, I didn't think. I guess I am stubborn. I didn't know how stubborn until I spent a millennium refusing to say, you win. But my flaw is also my strength. And maybe that's what being immortal makes it impossible to understand.
Oh, okay. So, I thought you were trying to say humans were better than us. But if you're saying it's just how you were born, like a congenital disorder, then it's not your fault. So, there's no point in me punishing you for it. Yeah, you humans can go on existing and I'll take a nap till you're done. I'm going to give you like 10,000 years at most.
What about me?
You'll live, and you know what? I'll even undestroy your city. After you go to sleep tonight, one more reset, no volcano. Never liked those fire lizards anyway. I might actually skip my nap and see how this pans out. You dummies aren't uninteresting.
I've become convinced from the evidence I've seen over 32 years that reincarnation is real. So what the hell is going on?
I would say that they were descendants of who the Anunnaki made, and that a lot of people today are more than likely going to be descendants of the Cabbage Patch program, where there is a lot of evidence to support that they repopulated after 1776 by cloning.
So where do babies come from? In the early 1900s, the most common answer given to children would simply be that the stork would bring the babies, or that they were found in a cabbage patch. But why would babies be found in cabbage patches?
When the people of Europe overflowed into the rest of the world between the 16th and 19th centuries, the indigenous population of most colonized lands went under.
The legend of the Cabbage Patch Kids involves a young boy named Xavier who meets a mystical fairy bunny bee creature, so a hybrid or chimera, and he follows this bunny bee through a secret tunnel behind a waterfall. On the other side of this waterfall, he finds that babies are being produced in a cabbage patch. The stork, known as Colonel Casey, would then come and pick up the babies. He even has his own uniform. So he's a worker, a soldier, as well as the Cabbage Patch Kids' official historian that would then deliver the babies to their new homes.
Compounding this is the difficulty people have, your average person like me, when you go to do your family tree on Ancestry.com, that once you get back past the 1800s, the information you've got is very difficult to prove. We don't know what we're reading. There are no newspaper articles supporting anything. There's no photographic evidence of anything. People will say, well, they refer to parish records, but unless you physically go into the church itself and find. So I think that for many of us, our story and our ancestors and our family tree doesn't go back very far at all. And that was a race of people that descended from the creation, I suppose, of the Anunnaki, the people that they made to mine and mine gold for them and obey their instructions. I think that they were descending from them, and I don't think that there are many of them around today. I think we are a different civilization entirely.
Okay. And so where does the white skin come from? And has that become so prevalent because of cloning?
Yeah, well, there's research into the Breatharians that were part of the Tartarian culture. And these were people that actually, they say that a little bit like a plant does, that they harnessed their energy from sunlight, and that all they needed was water and direct sunlight. They didn't eat. And that is why they built such incredible structures throughout the world that have no toilets. Now, you could argue that the Romans had toilets, but then you could argue that may well have been a different race of people altogether.
There's a category of postcards that deserves its own name and label, but it doesn't seem very well known, as there are no websites or videos explaining this topic. We shall call it the mystery of the Repopulation postcards. In order to understand why we've labeled them Repopulation postcards, a thorough understanding of resets, Tartaria, orphan trains, incubators, asylums, and oddfellows will be necessary. These cards depict babies being grown. There are many different styles within this category. One of the most interesting is the Cabbage Patch Babies, a variety of themes involving growing babies. Babies in a nest. Babies in eggs being hatched. Then the babies arrive on the train.
So the darker skin, which you would need to be able to operate or function in this way, was actually capable of actually getting energy from the sun without having to eat. And if you did eat, in very, very small quantities and not very regularly. So I think that they were a lot darker and their skin was able to do that. And that's certainly that's been backed up for me by so many different people referring to so many examples of tribes still alive and well doing that right now, and people who have also done it, but none of them are white. None of them are white. None of them are white.
Okay,
it's not something we're capable of doing. We just burn.
Yes, I know. So has the white skin come from the Anunnaki?
The bunny bee character also is a hybrid creature of two animals that both symbolize rebirth and resurrection on a mass scale. As we know, rabbits reproduce in droves, and the bee symbolism makes me think of a hive, or a queen or source, where all the offsprings originate from. It would seem that this is some sort of reference to babies being created in a lab on a mass scale.
See, when them Cabbage Patch Dolls came here, meaning that those children with no soul, they came in all colors. And they came here to destroy how we really live.
Why were there so many orphans? The most common answer will be, the baby boom. But this didn't happen until 1946 to 1964. These postcards are from 1890 to 1910. And there's really no explanation for the burst of orphans that we see being brought into the United States, or the amount of orphanages and asylums that exist that no longer seem to be necessary. Could the baby boom narrative be a way to sweep this part of history under the rug? The orphanages were all shut down, and after the 60s, people just stopped having babies and getting married after World War II, according to the narrative. Then there were the incubators of the 1900s. It's difficult to keep premature babies alive with modern technology, yet they were doing this back in 1835 in Europe. They turned this into a sideshow, where at the world fairs, they would show off these child hatcheries, these incubators of live children. And for some reason, the royals would come and witness these events.
Then you start to go into this whole thing with the orphan trains and the orphan incubators and the baby incubators and all this really weird stuff. You have to wonder where all the parents are. Number one, that's a question to ask. Number two, there were lots of experimental injections put into the people from the 1700s to 1800s, which probably removed a lot of the parents from that. And number three, you get into technology of potential of babies being grown. And so once again, if someone doesn't have a memory, if you think of people as clones, and you get into this whole rabbit hole of this and NPCs and clones, well, then there's people who've been put into this realm, and they're here, and they're existing, and they wouldn't really have history. Because even when I look at the heritage of many people, and I go through family lineage, and I say, well, who's your family from, and whatever, they usually say, my dad's dad was gone. It was just my dad's mom. You always see a missing parent or no parents. And then you sit there and think, so what, they just send them across the ocean on a ship? There's something strange going on, and it's a rabbit hole.
Why so many orphans? Were these orphans taken from their families? Were they trained to instruct a new generation of genetically created babies?
So that I do think that white people, certainly people like me, are a result of cloning and genetically modified. Cloning that happened after the reset.
You guys, I'm so bad. I snorted Dionysus's ergot.
Oh no.
Yeah, that stuff really messes you up. Like I could see sounds and hear colors. The last breath of a dying tree told me a secret of a coin-based currency that when gifted to humans would make them go berserk. It showed me a future where Deliria's stupid family started using this money in their stupid city. They were all being weirder and dumber than usual.
So what did they actually do with it?
They used it to pay for things they wanted or needed.
But why? They already had trade. Did this money make them happy?
Quite the opposite. It made them even more miserable.
Is there a lesson to be learned here? Maybe we should give the humans currency.
If my hallucinations are accurate, and let's be real, they probably are, money could make the mortals do all sorts of horrible things. They might just do anything to get more of it. And inevitably, it could make them all sad. Even the ones with a lot of it. Then they'll come crawling to us. That's more valuable than all the dead chickens!
Is there anything else I can get for you?
No, everything was terrific. Here, take this for your service. It's worth one whole chicken.
And so it begins.
So what exactly is fiat money? How can a piece of paper hold so much value? And why don't we use something more valuable, like gold, as money instead? In this video, we'll dive into the concept of fiat money. Let's get started.
Well, we started using these coins and our civilization really took off. Suddenly I was rich and had something called free time.
How does it work?
We use these to buy and sell goods and services. I'm currently carrying the equivalent of 50 chickens. It's called money. Here, take one.
Apparently, it's based on a standard of exchange where these super fungible tokens, or coins, represent a certain amount that everyone agrees on.
What did you give this Athenian for it?
Nothing really. Just a couple of cows, goats, chickens, most of our weapons. But I'm pretty sure I got the better end of the deal. Think of how much more efficient this will be. And since we're basically at the beginning of time, most people have the same amount of stuff, so they'll be starting on a totally equal playing field.
There's only one problem. What do we do with Athenian money? We don't live in Athens.
I know. I wish.
Counterpoint? Screw Athens! What if we made our own money?
It's a long time ago, money didn't even exist.
This is Repopulation's official coin. What matters is what it represents. Don't you want an opportunity to dream, to create a world where eventually money is something you can hold on to? Grow your wealth instead of having to eat everything you earn.
How does that work?
I'm really glad you asked that before rioting. Instead of something being worth a certain number of chickens or goats, everyone will agree on a coin amount that is fair to both parties. And that amount of coins can then be exchanged for the equivalent in goods and services. I know you're going to be skeptical, but...
It feels right.
You're really into it? You're not just saying you are so you can get my hopes up and crush whatever spirit I have left?
Let's do money!
Okay, everyone line up with your possessions and we'll start handing out the Tyrannuses.
A long time ago, people used a barter system to trade things.
What is this?
It's called money. The city's using it instead of trading chickens.
So these metal discs are valuable to you mortals?
People are nuts for them. When I get enough money, I'm going to get a third pigtail.
Oh, I could finally have a temple full of sacrifices that don't stink like chicken crap. Oh, I like it. I'm in. Spread the word. From now on, Deliria only accepts cold, hard money.
Every hour of every day, this government facility in Washington, D.C. turns paper into money. In order to keep up with demand, these machines are running 24/7, pumping out more than $500 million into the U.S. economy every day.
Just like that.
But this is only a tiny fraction of how much money is really made. Most of our money exists digitally, and this number currently goes up by more than $4 billion every day. Before it ever reached your bank account, it changed hands countless times, passing through people, governments, and businesses, all after being simply typed into existence on a computer.
Tyrannus, we have a slight problem.
What's that?
I went to town to get some lunch.
Woozy's kebab?
Is there any other?
You know it.
Boom! But Woozy wouldn't give me any because I don't have any more money.
That's an easy fix. We can just make a lot more coins.
But if the money isn't worth the value of something specific, isn't it by definition worthless? Worthless?
In order to fully understand how we got to this point, we need to go back to a time before money.
Being rich is way better.
Sir, here is your chicken.
Excellent. I'm starving.
Actually, chickens cost a bit more now.
How much more?
100 Tyrannuses.
How is that possible?
There's a lot of coins and not a lot of chickens.
Hippo, you're the genius. What do we do about this?
Easy. We make more coins.
If you make more coins, won't chickens just end up costing even more?
We can't let this new system collapse. We're too rich.
If a farmer, thousands of years ago, needed a new tool, he'd go to the local tool maker to buy one. The farmer didn't have anything to give him in return, so instead, they both just agreed that he owed him something in the future. Because the tool maker trusted the farmer, his promise of future value was an acceptable form of payment. Sure enough, 2 weeks later, the farmer came back and gave him some food from his farm. To make transactions easier, people started to pay using more commonly used items like cattle, grain, and salt. Everyone needed these things, but they were hard to come by, and that's what made them valuable. The farmer could now buy a tool and pay for it right away, using a precise amount of grain that seemed like a fair exchange. This made transactions quicker, and both parties would leave with something valuable to them. But eventually the demand for trade was too much, and paying with a random mix of bulky objects wasn't good enough. People eventually settled on using metal coins, like gold and silver, since they were small, extremely valuable, and would last forever, unlike cattle or grain. Suddenly, trade around the world opened up, and things were being bought and sold all the way from China to Europe. But traveling with so much gold became heavy and dangerous. This was when the whole idea of money started to change.
What the hell is going on?
When I left, Athens was thriving, but I came back to this. It was the money. When the other Athenians got low on coins, they just started making more. It seemed like the perfect solution, but it made everything worse. Like they say, mo money, mo problems.
Oh my God, we are so screwed. Oh, come on. It couldn't have all been because they made more coins.
The money became worthless and people began to turn on each other.
This is bad.
You think? Our entire civilization collapsed over a 3-day weekend.
What's a weekend?
It's another thing we invented where...
Not the time for new ideas. We still need to fix the problems your last one caused.
What do you want me to do about it?
Oh my God! I don't know yet, but it involves us leaving right now.
Get off of me!
In 17th century London, trusted goldsmiths started to take in people's gold coins, promising to look after them for a small fee. In return, they would give the customer a piece of paper, a promise note that allowed them to retrieve their gold at any time. The key to this piece of paper was that the customer could go to any goldsmith in any town and claim back that exact amount of gold. The paper itself had no intrinsic value, but it became as good as gold. The notes were so convenient that people started simply exchanging them to buy and sell things. The goldsmiths realized that most people weren't actually coming to retrieve their gold, and so they started loaning out fake promise notes to customers, instant money that had to be paid back with interest, making the goldsmiths a small profit. This was fake money that didn't actually come out of their gold supply. If a goldsmith loaned out 100 coins, they wouldn't become 100 coins poorer. They'd simply write the customer a fake note that was worth 100 coins, which could be spent anywhere. Eventually, the customer would pay back the loan plus the fee, making the goldsmith 105 coins richer. On top of that, the customer would spend their money by paying someone for goods, making them richer. From that single loan, the total money in existence increased by 100 coins, yet no new coins were produced.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
What happens if people ever really question the system? It will not stand up to even the most basic scrutiny.
They won't, because they're lazy. And even if one day they do, we'll be long dead by then, and it'll be someone else's problem.
If we replace the goldsmiths with banks and the promise notes with digital money, we have today's system of money.
Money basically is a false promise. That's literally what it's giving.
Rather than question how currency worked, they just went along with it because they really liked buying stuff, which meant they needed more money. So everybody got jobs and worked themselves to the bone. All of this working ate up so much of their lives, they began to forget what made living special.
That was a great video. I learned... That taught me more than school has ever taught me. So
where are you from?
The CIA.
Huh, small world. I work there. And how long have you and Steve been friends?
My whole life. 3 days.
3 days? Steve, I know you cloned these girls. If the CIA finds out, I'll lose my job. Now I gotta unclone them. Unclone means kill. Honey!
Stan!
Don't judge me. It was just a clone.
I know what you're thinking. How did I end up in this situation? Trust me, it's not an easy story to tell. You see, a long time ago, ancient alchemists stumbled upon the secret of how to birth babies from cabbages. This magic was regarded as the greatest secret. Using the Philosopher's Stone, they were able to find a new way to give birth, through the sacred cabbage. Why cabbage, you might ask? Well, rumor has it that they thought it looked like a baby's head. Makes some sort of sense, right? These cabbages were engineered to grow humans. I guess you could say I'm a homunculus. Actually, we all are. But the new church couldn't let that kind of power stay in the hands of a few alchemists. No, they wanted the cabbage secret for themselves. So they destroyed the alchemist, wiped them out.
I'm sure you can.
What would the scientific reason be? All I've managed to find is scientists saying it's unethical. Why can't you clone a human?
Yeah.
Not that they can't do it, but it's unethical to do it.
The idea would be who owns it, I think, is where that gets to. Because if you have a clone, do you own that clone, or does that clone have its own life?
Yeah.
Because you're paying money for it to be created. So then is it your child? It's not your child.
No.
So who owns this?
No. Yeah. If you pay to have it made, then it's kind of property.
I mean, but then you do the same thing with IVF, right? But I guess...
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I haven't thought about this.
Right. Yeah. You are quite right. Yeah. Yeah. What is the difference?
Right. But then in theory, I mean, as far as I'm aware, we're all owned anyway. What
your understanding is of the word cabbage and why you think it might be used with regard to Cabbage Patch Kids and repopulation and so on.
I think it's funny because you could totally see them as just being something cute and quirky and fun. And I think that that's what a lot of people thought of them. But to have your eyes open to the way that this world or this plane of existence works, what is it that they're trying to tell us? What is it that this means? And so there's different categories of the cabbage baby postcards. So there's ones with cabbages where there's babies being plucked out of cabbages, and usually there's a man with striped socks and a lady in red, part of that symbolism.
I do wonder that, when people say they've been cloned, does the clone know it's a clone? It's a clone. So where are you with the whole cloning?
Personally, because I haven't seen a photograph of a cloning facility and I haven't seen any paperwork that says anything that would make me think that there's cloning, I'm skeptical about it. The cabbage postcards, and then you have the lady in red plucking babies out of water, babies in boats, babies on lily pads, babies in wells, babies being picked out of trees, being carried around in buckets. So there's a lot of that sort of symbolism. And then there's babies on trains being transported, or babies being flown by stork. And the stork is a symbolizing the postal service. You've got babies populating empty cities. So they're just all over the place doing baby things. And there's no adults. There's no one else there. And then you have ones where there's babies on a farm. So they're like riding on cows and drinking milk right out of their udders and things like that. How you would feed cloned babies, like what would you feed them? And, can you just feed a brand new baby animal milk? Is that safe? Or when did they invent formula and stuff like that? So first I wanted to look into the symbolism of the word cabbage, because why cabbage? Why aren't they in pumpkins? Or like why is it cabbages specifically? Cabbage was originally called cole or caul. Like today we have kohlrabi. It's in the same family. The word cabbage came about in like the 1500s when they did that language overhaul. So it wasn't called cabbage before that.
Is this the great vowel shift?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to look at other words that start with C-A-B-B, and the only word there is Kabbalah, is C-A-B-B-A-L-A. Right. Kabbalah comes from the word kibel, which means to receive or accept. Right. We're looking at a cabbage as something as like a receiving vessel.
The new church was in control of the cabbage knowledge and its power. They used this secret to grow their own army. Cabbage-born, loyal, and ready to serve. Around this time, something else was happening. A reset. The ancient world, filled with advanced civilizations, was falling apart. Floods, earthquakes, whole cities buried under mud. Some say it was due to a certain group's affiliation with black magic. Others think it was just nature taking its course. Whatever the reason,
these incredible cities were destroyed and emptied out. They had to program the first set of orphans through the schooling system. And these orphans weren't just any children. They were the chosen ones, handpicked to become the elites of the new age. They were initiated into secret brotherhoods, where this knowledge of the reset and Freemasonry would be carefully guarded. These orphan brotherhoods began to clean up these cities, raise the streets, and create what we now know as downtowns. Many of these buildings were still buried, and there was a complete underground portion of the city that would be unknown to the general public. But there was still a problem. They needed to fill in these empty ghost cities with people. These first orphans were infertile and didn't even know what sex was. But within the brotherhoods, they were entrusted with one crucial secret: the knowledge of the sacred cabbage.
People thought that it represented a wound.
Cab means head, and so that's another reason why it could be called cabbage, because it looks like a head. 14 million people immigrated to the U.S. between 1900 and 1920, and then the numbers kind of add up.
So is it possible then that the Cabbage Patch kids or Cabbage Patch babies, that is to do with the they're called that because that is to do with the trafficking?
Yeah, that's what I think. So if we look back and we're looking at the first category of these postcards, we've got cabbages. So we've got to receive or accept cabbatage. So the man with the striped socks who's farming them, he's the nation A. And then the lady in red who's receiving them, she's nation B, or Lady Liberty. So it's, so that's like all the immigrants that came over.
You wrote this book last year. It came out, the Tesla and the Cabbage Patch Kids, and you were telling us about the fact that in your understanding, your belief, your research has come to the conclusion that there was a reset in 1776, that a lot of our history has been false.
The intention was clear. All memory of these ancient temples and exponential growth had to be erased. So then they repopulated the known lands with a new humanity, adapted towards the ignorance that these cities and that this great empire had once been forged, where their feet would later tread the lands of the ancestors and the Anakim giants.
If you look at genealogy, you have a grandmother, and then you have a great-grandmother, and a great-great-grandmother.
Yeah.
And that's going this way on, like, if you're here, you get grandma, then your great-grandma, and your great-great-grandma. And if you go this way, they're your cousins. Well, this is your cousin once removed and twice removed. So the terms great and grand mean one generation removed from. I think that the second meaning of great is you have removed history from one generation, or removed the understanding by one generation.
That makes perfect sense. Shit, that's a mind fuck, isn't it? That really is.
So the great fires, they're like, it's like they're laughing at you. They're saying, look, we took away your history. Now you don't know.
Some of these motherfuckers out here is clones. And I'm going to say this. That's why when you talk to them, let me finish what I'm about to say. That's why when you talk to them, their eyes look empty. When you talk to them and you say something, see, you can talk to them about ish that come on TV, little ish that you can discuss little petty ass ish, little matrix ass ish. But get on some real ish and watch and see how they shut down on you. And they give you that blank stare like it's nothing there.
Everybody have been following the resets, the mud flood concept. We already know there's been times where the population on Earth has dwindled down within a few years. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's populated now with billions of people again. And what I'm telling you is, not everybody we see is a conscious being. Most of the people on Earth are non-player characters. It's only a few conscious soul beings within this whole population. This is a theory. And the rest are just seeded clones to fill in like a video game.
What they do in these cloning centers, which he alleges are in dumb bases, these military bases all across the world, the information from the person to the clone is transmitted during REM sleep. So it's uploaded.
These kids, you can't tell me this kid is not
56 on the dot. Look at these kids, man. Look at them.
This was how they repopulated the empty cities. Couples would come to the farms and pick out their favorite baby from the cabbage patch. They didn't really see these babies as their own, but instead, they were merely products. It became a cultural phenomenon to purchase babies, and they were sold on the streets, in carts, at shopping centers, and even at world fairs. These world fairs were repurposed ancient buildings that were used to display ancient advanced technology, and they would show off the incubator babies. These incubator babies were cabbage babies that had still not fully developed, and this tech was used to speed up the birthing process. So after the repopulation phase, the church kicked off a massive propaganda campaign to teach us a new, fake history. But the cabbage babies never stopped being produced. It only went underground. This is still done in secret, in underground factories, for reasons that cannot be fully explained.
So yeah, but his research stems from Hollywood and the cloning of celebrities, which we're hearing about a lot more now. And there are quite a few famous clips out there of people like Hillary Clinton, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, actually appearing to malfunction live, as if something's happened, like a kind of a flaw or a bug in a program. I've got two theories on that. One is that it is because it's a clone, and Donald Marshall suggests that they are adolescent and they have a handler. Now there is, and you can find this still on YouTube, there is footage of Martin Lawrence and Will Smith after they filmed the last Bad Boys movie, there was a press conference and they're walking together and Martin Lawrence isn't talking. The odd word that does come out of his mouth, Will Smith's taking over and answering questions for him. It's almost like he's sort of comatose or got severe jet lag. And you might think that that's a one-off. Apparently that's a glitch. That is a flaw because they are adolescent. They're made quite quickly.
We used the cloning machine at my dad's work to make prom dates. Really? Wait! Ah! Unclone! Control Z! Control Z! In every cloning movie, they come out fully grown.
This isn't a movie, Steve. This is real life. We don't have time for this. We'll find someplace else.
Wait. I'll take him.
And that was the selling point, the USP with the incubator babies in the World's Fairs that were launched by Dr. Martin Cooney, that they could grow a 9-month baby within just a few days. And people will be able to find that online if they look.
What about those girls' parents?
Actually, those are your girls.
What?
How is this possible? They must be 5 years old by now.
Do you realize what this means? At the accelerated rate they're growing, they're going to be the right age for prom by Saturday.
Now, I kind of thought that was just a catchy gimmick to promote incubators. But Donald's research suggests that actually, no, they speed up the whole process in these tanks. It goes from, a baby, a fetus almost, to a fully formed human quite quickly in a matter of months rather than years. They have a handler. So they're told exactly what to do. They're infantile. The clone is infantile. They're told exactly what they're supposed to do.
Mr. Hart, I can't wait to show you. Please step in. Now, I just want to warn you that we had to cut a few corners.
You don't even have to explain it. Trust me, I know all that stuff will be figured out. I just want to see it.
This is some sort of human accelerated in its growth and presumably in its mind. Is it? I mean, so it's not a robot, and is it sentient, as in you and I?
No, not in the same respect. So it's 770 million people wandering around in 1776. 770 million. 100 years later, that had doubled to just under 1.4 billion in 100 years.
But I mean, that includes China?
That includes everywhere. When you look at the number of deaths within the same period of time. It's 3.3 billion people died in the same period of time. But during that same period of time, that same 100 years, we lost 3 billion through natural disease.
But wait a minute, that sounds like there's more people died than there was to begin with.
Yeah.
And somewhere the calculation is obviously not right.
No, none of it makes any sense at all. When they give us the population figures, they're not taking into account that somebody might do this research.
So, where are you from?
The CIA.
Small world. I work there. And how long have you and Steve been friends?
My whole life. 3 days.
3 days? That means you were born on the 30th. You have the same birthday as Selena Gomez. That lucky duck. She has a belly button ring. You should so get one of those.
I can't. I don't have a belly button.
Now I get it.